you're choking out Lady Man. Lady's getting choked by Michaela.
Hello, my name's Lady Beard. I'm a cross-dressing pro wrestler and heavy metal singer from Adelaide, but I now live in Tokyo, where I've been for the past 10 years. I'm in a group called Baby Beard. It's me and two lovely young Japanese ladies. I scream, they sing, we all dance. It's remarkable. I'm too excited. I'm losing my mind. I'm here with the one and only Michaela. I can't believe this.
Thank you. That is a very long title to describe what you do.
It is.
It's incredible. Do you mind, like, you've got such an eclectic career. Can you briefly tell us how you went from acting school to being famous in Japan?
All right, so here's what happened. So I went through acting school in Adelaide, where I'm from. I moved to Melbourne, where I was doing the standard young actor situation, but I was also training in Hong Kong-style cinematic action with an Aussie who'd spent 9 years on the Jackie Chan stunt team.
Wow.
So I went to Melbourne, I was on his team, and I was kind of complaining about the situation in Melbourne at the time in terms of acting and so forth, and he said, you know what, you should go to Hong Kong, because in Hong Kong you're a minority, so therefore your pool of competition is much smaller, so it's much easier for you to get experience and so forth.
Wise.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So I went to Hong Kong, that went very well, and I lived in Hong Kong for 6 years, being a stuntman and an actor and a voice actor, which is fantastic. Then that global financial crisis came along in 2008, wiped that whole thing out. So I'm like, all right, well, there's no work at home. There's no work in Hong Kong now. What am I going to do? And after a lot of soul searching, I realized I could solve all my problems by becoming a cross-dressing pro wrestler and heavy metal singer. Which I think is a logical choice that a lot of young men come to at some point in life.
No, I love it because I feel like it's so eclectic. It sounds like you're really doing what you love and doing what you want to do.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
You know, like, not many people sometimes get that, and you've just sort of carved this amazing path for yourself with all your talents.
Thank you, you're very kind.
I'm in awe, basically.
Bless you, you're very kind, Michaela, you're very kind.
So what does it feel like being part of the wrestling community? Like, what does it mean to you to be part of the pro wrestling?
It's a beautiful thing. Pro wrestling is a very interesting art form because from the outside, it seems very meathead and very bogan, right?
Yes, yeah.
But it's actually, in terms of doing it well, it's actually very difficult to do a good job of. And it's actually quite a complex form of storytelling. You have to do all your storytelling, not all of it, but a lot of it happens physically, obviously. And then, but there's a lot of actual psychological thinking that goes into pro wrestling and telling the story using the techniques as opposed to, just telling the story. And using your characters and having those characters interact for the sake of furthering storylines and so forth. So it's actually, when you look at it kind of bigger picture, it's quite a complex art form. And interesting, this is very interesting actually, because I went through acting school, so of course we go through all, emotion training, all this kind of stuff. But it's interesting, pro wrestling is actually one of the most emotional parts of work I've ever done, because it's very emotionally, getting struck. It's, it's very visceral.
Yeah.
So getting struck and striking other people. It's very, very internally moving, as well as, of course, externally being very athletic and so forth.
Of course, like, is it hard? Because you're basically playing a character, but you're also being beat up or beating someone else up. Like, it must be jarring sometimes to keep that character when you're being flipped around. Like,
that's right.
How do you describe, what are some words to describe how you feel when you're in that zone and you are Lady Beard, but you're being, like, thrown on the ground?
Yeah, it's interesting because you're working with someone else, and it's like a dance in the sense that you both need to be coordinated and working with one another so that nothing goes wrong. So as long as we both don't mess up and we're both in sync and we can both communicate okay, then things are fine. The real challenge comes when someone makes a mistake and something goes wrong, timing goes wrong, or someone does something incorrectly. And now something's happened, like there's been an injury in the ring, or something's happened where something was supposed to happen to be really spectacular, but it got messed up, and now it's this weird moment when everyone's confused. And so now how do you now, in real time, without ruining everything else you got planned, how do you now fix that and make it work for the rest of the show?
So it's really like a partnership with the other person. You really have to be in sync.
Very much so.
Even more so than like an actual relationship in a way.
Well, hey, well, that's right. Hey. Oh, you don't need sync in a relationship, Michaela. Hey, listen. Relationships are not about syncing. They're about doing what you want and forcing someone else into your zone.
Relationship advice.
Hey,
You hear
wait
from
a
you
minute.
first, guys.
Lady Beard's busted out romance advice for Australia.
I love
Nuts to him! It's all about you.
Thank you so much for that. So, what is it? You know, you started cross-dressing from around 14.
Yes,
I
that's
think.
right, yep.
What is it about cross-dressing that excites you? Does it help you step into this world and your career and this character, or how would you describe how you feel when you put on this amazing?
Okay, well, first things first, I have big legs and I have a really big butt. So therefore, pants have never really fit correctly on me, you know, unless I get them tailor-made or something. I've never been able to move my legs properly. So instantly, I put on a skirt and I'm like, yeah, I can move my legs, which is wonderful. With my martial arts base, it means I can kick properly, finally, which is good. I used to have to hoik my pants up so that I could kick, but not anymore, which is wonderful. But for me, it was a case of I was just wearing pants like everybody else, and the world around me was, you know, not very polite to me. Everyone was like, screw this guy. And then one day I turned up in a dress and everyone was like, look at this crazy guy. So I was like, well, all right. So I went, all right, fine. So I got treated much better in a skirt than I was in pants.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. What does that say about society?
Well, I think it's, you know, like from Adelaide, so it's a relatively small, back in the 90s, conservative place. It was pre-internet and everything, so the world hadn't really opened up the way that it has now. So it was a case of, you know, I mean, turn up and you're social and you're talkative and you want to talk a lot, and wasn't really received well by the other teenage boys, you know. So, but then you put on a skirt and everyone's like, well, of course he's noisy, you know. You wouldn't have the skirt turn up being all shy, you know. It wouldn't make any sense.
Being a cross-dresser in the wrestling world, like obviously wrestling, there's as you said, there's characters, there's performance, there's costumes. But is it quite rare to be a cross-dresser in the wrestling world? How do you describe it?
I think there's been a generational shift. I think back old school wrestling, kind of 80s and whatnot, because it was very kind of manly man. So if a man turned up in a dress, it would have to be extremely waka waka, or there's no way, right?
Yeah.
But there's kind of been a generational shift nowadays, and wrestling is it's much broader than it used to be in terms of what's possible and what people will accept. So
That's great.
yeah, it is lovely. Yeah, I think if I'd been doing this in the 80s in pro wrestling, it would have been a vastly different story. But I'm not, so.
We love that.
SBS Viceland, not the 80s.
Yeah.
That's right.
Newsflash.
Right?
What is one of your favorite Lady Beard outfits?
Oh, my favorite outfit is actually my pro wrestling bikini because I designed it myself.
That's incredible.
I was very happy with it. I stole the design from a Girls' Generation video. So I watched their video and I said, I need that, but a different color scheme and on me. So that's how I figured it out.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Do you know, obviously you've been in Japan for how many years now?
10 years now.
Wow.
Long time.
Do you miss anything about Australia?
Yes, I miss everything about Australia.
Yeah?
Miss it very much.
How would you describe your life in Japan compared to Australia? Like, obviously there's a lot of differences.
Yeah, Japan's a wonderful, beautiful place. Lovely people, great culture. One of the interesting things about Japan is if you're doing something weird, people won't really let you know, because that's part of the culture. They have it's a read the room society, you know.
Yeah.
So if you turn up, especially as a foreigner you're already weird,
Yeah.
right? But then if you turn up, if you're doing something strange, everyone will be like, but between each other, they're all going, oh my God, this guy. So that's one of the difficult things, because until you kind of you're going, everyone here loves me, and then you leave the room and someone's like, all right, you're never doing that again. You're like, okay. Yeah. So that can be quite challenging, because you don't know you're messing something up until afterwards.
Yeah.
So when it's too late.
And you know, there's amazing parts about Japan. Like, what is one of your favorite things? You know, being a foreigner living in Japan. What is one of your favorite things about Japan?
Well, it's so the country itself is extremely safe, which is
Yes.
wonderful. Extremely clean,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. And very, very accepting in terms of everybody's extremely polite, and everybody will be, kind to you off the bat.
Yeah.
Once you get deeper into institutions, you need to kind of, culturalize yourself more in order to be effective in the environment. But in terms of from an immediate starting point, everyone's very polite, and it's a very pleasant place to be. So that's really lovely. So therefore, I recommend you have a nice holiday to Japan very soon. Hey, Lady Beard, not brought to you by Tourism Japan.
I love that. And how would you describe your fan base in Australia compared to Japan?
Oh, very different, vastly different. Really? Well, actually, is it? This is one of the other interesting things about this career as well. One of the things I have learnt over the past 10 years, because I work all around the world now. So I've learnt that a bearded white man in a skirt means something different in every culture. So what Lady Beard means in Japan is very vastly different from what I mean in Australia. So over there, obviously, I have the foreigner factor. So I'm this foreigner in a skirt. But in Australia, of course, I'm not. I'm just a dude in a skirt. But interestingly, I don't think this would work the same way in Australia if I had not gone to Japan first. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I was just some dude who put on a skirt, you'd be like, well, you're a dude who put on a skirt. If you're the dude who put on the skirt, went to Japan, got famous doing the wrestling and the screaming, then in Australia, everyone's like, did you say he got famous in Japan doing wrestling and screaming?
You're right. It's a different.
It's a different dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So therefore, the fan bases are different everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. All right. My last question
Hit me.
is, what's like one wrestling move you think everyone should know?
Oh, wow.
And would you mind teaching me?
Oh my goodness, Michaela. Michaela from SBS Viceland, this interview is heating up. No problem. One wrestling move I think everyone should know. Everyone is a very broad category of human.
Okay, that I should know.
Okay, then Michaela should know.
Me. Yes.
I see. Well, Michaela, you're very delicate and lovely, which is fantastic, but
You hear that here first, folks. Delicate and lovely.
look at this woman. This is a beautiful woman, ladies and gentlemen. This is amazing. But I can imagine, being the charming and wonderful woman you are, at times you might attract the occasional unsavory character towards you on a Saturday night.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
Very correct.
Very, very important to know how to deal with these situations, Michaela. So, of course, a bit of assertiveness will go a long way, but if that's not enough, I'm going to teach you how to do a sleeper hold, all right? So it's very, very important, in case you ever need one.
Okay, should we
All right, here we
stand
go.
up?
You stay sitting down.
Oh,
It'll be easy if you
okay.
stay sitting down for a minute. Here's what's going to happen, and then we'll switch it around.
I'm really scared. Okay.
You're going to go, this arm is going to go around the neck, and you want the fold of the elbow going into the throat there, okay? There we are. This hand is going to shoot out, and your hand on top of the bicep, and this hand is on the back of the head. So as you squeeze with the elbow and you push the back of the head, you can feel that choke go on. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
All right, so now you go on me.
Okay.
Here we go.
Goodness, okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
Move my pigtails.
So.
Okay, so this is going to go around here. That's it, the elbow. This hand will go on top of your other arm like that.
Wait.
That's right, so put this arm through here. This is going to go on top of there. And then this goes on the back of my head. That's it. And as you squeeze here, you push here. That's
You
it.
feel
Good.
that?
That's it. Good job.
Oh
yes.
my God, I'm
Then you're
freaking
choking out,
excited.
lady man. Lady's getting choked by Michaela.
Oh my God.
God.
Thought I was
Okay,
going to pass
okay.
out. Please.
Sorry. Okay, so it's
That's
like bam, bam.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Wow.
She's a murderer. After one lesson, she's a killer. World champion. And then, of course, Michaela,
Yes.
in the event that fails, of course,
Yes.
your book will make an excellent weapon to be used. I'll just take this pen out
yes,
because that'll
sorry.
make things.
Just shove it
Interestingly,
over there.
the pen is mightier than the sword. This is an excellent weapon for striking purposes. So if you're going in the ring, you're going to
Yes.
strike someone with an object like a book. You want to go right in the middle of the surface, right in the
Yes.
middle, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to make sure you get them straight on this front part of the skull there.
Do you mind? Yep.
Sure,
There.
That's right.
There.
That's where you want to get them. You can get them up here too, but here is a much better place to get them.
Okay, here, folks.
So, there you are. Right in the middle there, target, front of Lady Beard's head. Go on, have a crack. Now have a crack.
Can I just like okay, so bam,
That's what you're doing.
bam.
Now wind up and give me hell.
I'm really scared.
Come on, Michaela.
Okay. Ah!
This has been Lady Beard and Michaela coming at you for SBS Viceland. Don't stop watching SBS.